Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. It's actually a very special episode because we are joined by Zeniba now. Yeah.
Yay! Hi.
What? Hello. I would also just like to point out she is an award-winning writer, musical storyteller, performer, vocalist, educator. I even said to her before we started, she has so many awards. I really don't even know what to say or like some highlights maybe. I should like the Jonathan Larson Award, Richard Rogers. I can't pronounce that, and the Tom Thomas Award. Also, let's see, 2024 Women to Watch on Broadway. And I think most importantly, West High's funniest senior voted on by the popular vote.
That is exactly the most important one. Thank
Here
you
you
for
go.
that.
You're welcome. Makes you feel any better. I got runner-up for class actress in my high school.
Oh,
Yeah,
runner up. Boom.
not even the winner, runner-up.
Yeah.
And here we are. I think the person who won isn't even like in.
Not in the arts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in the arts, but not in the arts. But, it's kind of like I have this podcast and I dabbled in directing and stuff
Cool.
throughout the pandemic.
You
But
seem like you're in the arts.
thank you. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm in the arts. I have listen, I have a business card for the podcast, so I'm official.
Yeah,
Yes. So thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
of
Um,
course.
the big reason why you're here today is to highlight and talk about I'm gonna because we talked about, and I'm already butchering it in my head, Maestra music, which I
Yeah.
think is so great. And I was actually introduced to it last year because of the benefit that they have coming up, Amplify. And this year it's Amplify 2025, which you are actually going to be a part of. And I don't want to give away what you're singing, but it's gonna
Well,
be good.
well, luckily I'm premiering a brand new song, so nobody has
Oh, great.
heard this song.
Even better.
Yeah, so I can say the title and nobody will know. It's called I Believe, and
Hmm.
I'm performing it with Antoine Hopper from A Strange Loop and other amazing projects. And it's written by myself and by Jay Adana from our show The Loophole.
That's wonderful. And the loophole, you guys worked on it at the Public Theater, correct?
Yes, in 2019, it had a developmental production of Act One in something called Public Studio, and it was also broadly like developed there for years. And a lot of my artistry comes out of my time being a part of the Public Theater and of hashtag bars at the Public.
Wonderful. So let's backtrack a little bit. Let's get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
So you were originally from Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah.
So what got you into the arts?
Um, I actually just answered this question recently, and the answer surprised me. And
Hmm.
it's gonna make me sound so it's gonna give off an energy that is not I don't it's gonna give off an energy, but I went to a performing arts elementary school. And
Okay.
I think that sounds really like high stakes and cutthroat or something. Like, I don't know, like people are like, it's not like a French Woods type of vibe.
Hmm.
Um, it was like a program where like kids from the inner city were bused into this school, and we had just a lot of arts, like just it was very normal and it was like an everyday thing. And so my emphasis in elementary school was choreography.
Ooh, okay. Would you consider yourself a dancer now or more of a mover or just as a
Oh,
person
I'm
who?
I'm definitely a mover.
Mhm.
Um, I can shake a tail feather, but I'm a mover in the professional sense.
I feel that. I've said to people, I cannot. I used to work at a dance studio like 10 years ago, and I had like 5-year-olds trying to teach me how to do a time step, and it was just not anything I can do.
I got the time step down. I got the time step.
Okay, at least you got the time step. And I've told people on the podcast who I've interviewed before, I'm like, can you teach me? And they said yes. And it's like, good luck. And nobody has attempted yet. I'm waiting for that moment.
You're waiting for the follow through.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the follow through. So, what got you into becoming a writer and a composer and a story? Like, what piqued those interests? How did you find out those skill sets about yourself?
Um, I really don't know. I feel like I probably just like didn't know enough about it to have doubt. And
Hmm.
so it was just kind of something I was doing. I think I really got into it much more hardcore pretty quickly after moving to New York after getting a BFA at the Boston Conservatory.
Hmm.
And I think I was just too too soft-chested at the time to audition. And I just was like, I got to do my own thing. Like I can't be asking these people for permission to do my thing. Like I've just got to do my thing like every day.
Hmm.
And so I just sort of went super indie, doing like short films and web series. And then I ended up being coerced by my friend Jared Dixon into auditioning for this program called Bars at the Public.
Hmm.
And I very begrudgingly did it. And then I ended up there for like 4 years, like writing and performing and working on all kinds of different art pieces. And that's where I met my writing partner, Jay Adana, and where we started working on The Loophole. And it's all just spun wildly out of control since then.
Yeah, because you got, again, you have I'm just looking at all your stuff. I promise to do my research, but just like you have so much stuff going on, which I love. You have like four one woman specials. You have different shows you're working on. You're even, and my friend is like so excited about this because she loved the Cheetah Girls growing up.
Oh,
Yeah, you are the co writer of the music and lyrics for Take This Lead happening at Papermill Playhouse this month,
yeah. Take the
which is so
lead. It
exciting.
opens in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting. And I know the Cheetah Girls reference is because we have
Yeah.
Adrienne Bailon Houghton
Yes.
um, starring in our show. And so
Mhm.
I'm definitely a fan of the Cheetah Girls
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because Tam Mutu is in it, and he is a fellow alumnus of my podcast, having him on a while back, and
Oh,
he's
cool.
yeah, and
Yeah, he's the lead. He's Pierre
yeah,
Dulaine, who the story is based on
yeah,
a rather famous ballroom dancer and instructor. And we got
yeah,
ballroom and hip hop fusion.
yeah. Did you guys take from the original story, or did you base on the movie? Because there was the movie Take the Lead, which a lot of people know about. So would you say it's kind of a blend of both? Is it based on one or the other?
So there's several iterations of the story of Pierre Dulaine. And this is definitely the movie Take the Lead,
Hmm.
but with a few more aspects of Pierre Dulaine's life that were not covered in the movie. For example, that he is gay.
Yeah.
And so lots of, different things. And of course, just, adapting something to a different medium
Hmm.
leads to a lot of changes. But I would say, like, this is the movie.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. I saw it in theaters. I love Dante Bosco.
Yeah. So I am curious to know because I've had a lot of wonderful writers and everybody on the podcast, but it's very rare that I've gotten a composer to come on. So I'm curious to know when you have a piece that's based on another piece of media, w- when and where do you decide where a song goes and where's the song inspiration come from?
I think that when you are adapting from another medium, then broadly you're looking to like figure out like what is the heart of this? Like why do people like this thing?
Hmm.
Like what is the heart of it? And then to really just maintain those aspects. And then I think it's once you've done that, to me it seems like it's mostly then just doing the typical musical process of really picking the most dramatic and the most transformative moments
Hmm.
and then sort of talking it over with the book writers and going back and forth a lot like well what really it needs to be said here, what's the change that needs to happen, and um sort of just understanding all of the logic behind it so that when you finally go to write it, ideally you're not toiling for days.
Yeah. How did Take the Lead come to you?
Oh,
I was
that's
curious to know
interesting.
like how composers are picked or they decide upon who or I just because I personally don't know how that works.
Totally.
So I just love to know the backstory of that.
Well, interestingly enough, Take the Lead actually, I was up for it 2 years before I got it, and I didn't get it.
Hmm.
And then that composer team stepped away, and then I came on board again. But I would say it's almost like interviewing for a job.
Hmm.
Like you're meeting with people, kind of like seeing if you vibe well together, if your vision broadly of things makes sense, talk a little bit about your process.
Hmm.
You might send them a lot of materials. In some cases, you might actually write something specific, like a little work sample audition.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a lot of like interviewing and it's really mostly conversations.
Okay. I'm curious to know that because you also posted it in your bio that you also studied neuroscience.
Yeah,
I'm so intrigued by that. Can you talk about what it was like to study that and how that study impacts any of your work, whether it be
totally. I would
as a
love to.
composer or a performer or an educator, what have you?
Yeah. So I've studied neuroscience broadly in two contexts. One is I went and I did this um, thing called biocybernaut, which
Hmm.
is, I would say, like the gold standard of neurofeedback.
Hmm.
And it's actually like turning your brain into a supercomputer.
Hmm.
So expanding the amount of information your brain has to analyze itself, which the brain really enjoys, and then working through traumas. And the fascinating thing about it is it's sort of like um it's like a form of therapy where you literally can't hide because your brain is snitching on you.
Hmm.
And so it's like there's like math to when something has been released or when something is actually very triggered. So you really can't like bullshit at all. So it's
Yeah.
very, very intensive. And that was, totally amazing. And especially for me personally. And then the second way I studied it was I went to two advanced retreats with Dr. Joe Dispenza, which is broadly about neuroplasticity and meditation. And I would say that like all of my work is tied together in some way by the idea that like heart coherence and brain coherence, when they are happening at the same time, that is that's the ideal place for us where the best decisions come from. And I think, we all know how transcendent music can be.
Hmm.
And oftentimes a musical is really about somebody just struggling in the muck, unable to
Hmm.
tap into their heart and to their brain coherence and making a ton of mistakes and just
Yeah.
fucking up for 2 acts. And we watch that basically to get to the one point where they click in and it's all flowing synchronized.
Yeah.
And so I'm really passionate about that. I feel like it can transform the world.
Mhm.
And I think it's there, especially in the music I write.
Do you use any of that as a part of when you're educating? Do you find that information helpful?
I definitely find it helpful to keep my heart open
Mhm.
and to try and have brain
Yeah.
coherence when I'm working with all different kinds of people and in all different manners and different ways. I don't typically teach. I don't really, I haven't taught as an art scientist yet. I still mostly teach traditional creative arts. But that's something I would definitely love to get into as I continue to grow my science background.
Yeah. I do feel like that would be a really cool thing with oh my God, why am I'm gonna say it incorrectly.
Maestra?
Maestra. Why do I keep saying it wrong? You know what? Because I've been saying it in my head one particular way. But I think that would actually
Maestra.
Maestra. I'm just gonna say it with an accent. Hopefully
Great.
nobody gets offended. I can do a really bad Irish accent. Uh, that might be like a
Maestra.
cool thing to incorporate with them at some point. Just throwing it
Totally.
out there.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's talk about Maestra. Since you,
Okay.
I mean, let's talk about what it is. So, for those who don't know, I'm going to read their mission statement because I don't want to do a disservice to them and say anything incorrectly. Give me one sec. I have it pulled up, but I just want to make sure that I have the right thing. Okay, so it provides support, visibility, and community to women and non-binary professionals who make the music in the musical theater industry. So their membership is made up of composers, music directors, orchestrators, arrangers, copyists, rehearsal pianists, and other musicians who are unrepresented minority in musical theater. So how did this maestra come into your life, and how did you become a part of it, and how have you utilized them? And I do want to say, like, as a side note for anybody listening, for those who do listen know I kind of have like a semi part-time job doing merch at Broadway shows, and I was working at a particular one. And there was a gentleman who, at intermission, really wanted to meet the musical theater, the music director at the time during that performance, because it was a male and he was studying to become a music composer. And I told him, if you can't meet them, go on to Maestra Music and see if you can find somebody on there. So, granted,
Yeah,
it is women, non-binary, but you are going to have a Rolodex of people that can help you out. And
totally.
hopefully they went on there because I mean it's a great resource of people.
Totally. It's also got a really interesting, really cool feature that I used recently in an essay that I was writing for my own fun, which is something you do. It's the timeline of women composers,
Oh
which is
wow.
really cool, just like a cool historical project that they have. And
Hmm.
it's like interactive. You can click through it and like look at the different shows and the different like rate at which female composers are working on Broadway. And I mean, a lot of it is like really depressing and like shocking because I mean, at least for me, I think growing up in like the 90s and everything's like girl power, like I was definitely like shocked to realize like how far back we were.
Yeah. Do you think the industry has gotten a little bit better with any of this stuff or not?
Um, I'll definitely say I think people are fully aware of the problem. And so that is, like even I just said, I'm aware of the problem now, getting a BFA in musical theater. I don't think I paid attention to whether the writers were female or not
Mhm.
singing those songs. And so I think the awareness has definitely changed.
Yeah.
I think from a number standpoint, it has improved, but it is still incredibly bleak. It's numbers that are really hard to celebrate. So when
Mhm.
it's like the most ever and it's like four,
Yeah.
like that's rough, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that year also, the year that had the most recently, several, I think like several of those composers were mega pop stars. And so not to knock them in any way. I love their work, but it's just like, oh God, I didn't realize I was trying to be like a one in a million thing. I'm like, oh, if I had seen this timeline before, I would have been scared off of this.
Yeah. So how did this organization come into your life?
That's a great question. I think I'm gonna assume my writing partner Jay found it and like texted me and was like, put your profile on here. And I just did it
Hmm.
because I do what I'm told. And that was really the start of it. And I have had people reach out to me from my profile on there.
Yeah.
And so it was also just interesting, I think, to just look around on it. And so that was very compelling intro to just be like, whoa, like who are these people? And I think for me, I started writing musicals professionally in a female dominated nonprofit space.
Mhm.
And so I was sort of like shocked as I moved into a more commercial space where it was suddenly completely male dominated in that culture shift. And so it was like, whoa, this is, you know, kind of culture shock.
Mhm.
And then yeah, they, through the pandemic, they were doing their virtual master classes, which they still do with all these different guests. And they had like check-ins and things like that. So it's definitely a great like resource to have during that time of uncertainty for everybody. And I'm so excited to be a part of Amplify 2025, especially because the lineup is super lit. So I
Yeah.
feel like I got a premium free ticket.
Yeah. And not only that, you're performing in it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the performing is cool, but I'm really there to watch Cerebrella sing.
Yeah. It's so funny too, because my friend, like I said to you, it's the Cerebralis Hunger Games between my friends about going with me. And my friend even messaged me because sometimes she looks at Facebook Messenger and not text messages. And she literally messaged me. She goes, "How did we get tickets for this last year? I need to know."
how,
And I was
how,
like,
how do we do this?
look at your text messages. Yeah.
Ha.
Yeah. And she goes, "Now that I'm going, I had to remind myself not to wear jeans because we didn't know how we were supposed to dress last year. And we're just like super casual and everyone's dressed up to like the nines."
Yeah, so the galas in the theater industry,
Yeah.
you can wear whatever you want. And sometimes it's subversive and artists will like wear denim and
Yeah.
stuff. And that's definitely a move. But I feel like for the most part, you want to go full evening gown, like tuxedo, glammed up.
Yeah.
I performed at the Jonathan Larson award ceremony,
Hmm.
and my girlfriend, she pushed me to get a dress, to get shoes and everything. And I did, and it looked great. And then they ended up featuring a clip of that performance on the Tonys. And she like looked at me and she's like, "And you were gonna wear overalls. And you were gonna wear overalls." I was like,
You're gonna
"I
be like, "Here's
was."
my ode to Rent. It's
Yeah,
fine."
yeah,
You don't
exactly.
know. That's wonderful. Well, let's getting back to Maestra. See, now I have to say it in an accent.
Maestra.
Maestra. How have you utilized them to amplify, no pun intended, for the gala, which we'll get into a little bit more than we already have, to amplify your work and your opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm on the directory, and so people can find me on there, which I think in this industry is probably about like 70% of the battle,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 50%. Like, it doesn't matter if your work samples are amazing if nobody knows you exist.
Yeah.
And so that alone is a huge help. And I think, part of them creating this was like to directly combat, like when people say, oh, well, the reason, it's all men is because we couldn't find anyone. And so it's like to just be able to be like, oh, well, look here, here's a list.
Yeah.
And so that's been really interesting. I reached out. They have a program called Maestra Care, and I utilized that one once to help uplift a woman in the industry. And they send a card, and it's really sweet and really cute. And so um, that's mostly what I've been a part of. And I've also taken some master classes. So I feel like this is me really joining the fold now
Yeah.
at Amplify.
Yeah. So how did Amplify 2025 come to you?
By direct email from Georgia Stitt and Kate Baldwin.
Did you
Is that
die?
not crazy?
Did you slither out of your chair and you were like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I really felt like a baller for sure. Like, of if I had to name a single one female composer when I was
Mm.
18, the only person I could have named, maybe Janine Tesori,
Yeah.
but definitely Georgia Stitt.
Yeah.
Because my high school teacher used to sing one of her songs and I just was totally blown away by it, and I would listen to the album. It almost felt like love, and Sarah Ramirez sings it online if you want to check it out. It's awesome. It's also like a song that goes really low. We
Mm.
talked in the dark. Like it goes really low, and I have a really low voice. And so I just remember it like stuck out to me, especially at a time when like things were getting crazy high. But yes, direct email by famous theater people is how I got invited.
Think so. just so if everybody who is listening and is interested in Amplify 2025, it is a celebration of women and non-binary. Um, and proceeds supports Maestra music,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
great.
So it's like you basically get to go to a concert that's
Yeah,
a charity fundraiser.
yeah,
And so it's like you get to, go out, have an amazing night, take photos,
yeah.
see literally a crazy lineup of people. I mean,
Hmm.
literally who is in this lineup? Let me see.
Oh, we got,
Obviously
I don't
Sarah
want to name all
Bareilles.
the people. I know we keep
Okay, we won't name
mentioning
them all.
Sarah Bareilles, but we have, well, first off, you have Lee Morgan Lee and you have Kate Baldwin co-hosting, which is going to be pretty incredible. You also have Tony winner Casey Lewis, currently Miss Liza Jane in Hell's Kitchen, and she's incredible. That's one of the places I do merch at, and the show is so good. You also have a special guest appearance by another person who's currently in Hell's Kitchen, Jessica Vosk. You have Jordan Fisher, who's also
Yeah,
going to be performing. The last thing I saw them in is in Hadestown, and I was just sitting there and they hit this note, and I was like, okay, sir.
right?
Yeah, about to
So,
go into Moulin Rouge. And then, as we keep mentioning, we have Sarah Bareilles going into the going to be performing. You will be there performing as well. So, those are just some of the people that are going to be performing that night.
yeah, it's gonna be like literally a crazy rocking concert.
Yeah. And for those listening, if you are interested in going, you can go to maestrawmusic.org/amplify 2025 for your tickets. They do have a VIP reception or non-VIP reception if you just want to go and watch the concert. It's a pre-show VIP cocktails if you wanted to do that. And it will be at Sony Hall on 46th Street. I went last year and it was just so good. My friends and I had the best time. We also donated during the show, which is another thing you can do. I think you can donate at home as well.
Yeah,
Um,
you can
if
donate
you-
any time of
yeah,
year. It's
anytime
a
you
great
just
cause.
donate. That's what we
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Yeah. What are you the most excited for in the are you just gonna also just like theater nerd out and just sit there and be like, oh my God, it's that person. Oh my God, it's that person.
Um, I I really am all in and all about Sarah Bareilles. I love the Blessed Unrest. It's like probably one of my favorite albums,
Hmm.
and she's like debuting from a new musical she's writing.
Yeah.
Low key, I'm like, girl, you better write another album. You better stop writing these.
Yeah.
Not another musical right now.
I'm just gonna put it out there for you. I'm gonna manifest. You can just go to her like, hey, I am also a composer. Like, let's write something together.
Yeah. If the moment is right and I feel like she's not you know, overwhelmed or if she's open and receptive like backstage, then I would definitely tell her how long I've been a fan of hers.
Yeah.
But if not, then my signature move is to smile and wave from afar.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
I
she's
have
very,
a
yeah, I feel like she's very approachable, and I'm sure there's going to be like group photos of everybody
Sure. Oh yeah, hopefully,
performing.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I also have like a lot of friends, involved in this. Like either they compose something or
Mhm.
so it's always just really nice to like see people. It's kind of
Mhm.
like a party. So
Yeah.
and then vocals. I'm expecting slay down vocals.
Lay down vocals. Yeah. So, what are your hopes for the future? Is there any like projects or dream roles or things that you would love to work on, or collaborators, even if it's just Sarah Bareilles?
Even if it's only Sarah
Yeah,
Bareilles.
you can just get,
Um,
I'm writing a one woman show. It's just for Sarah Bareilles, but then I'll appear. So it's a woman and a half show.
yes, a two-woman show, if you will.
Yeah. By the way, I
Um,
feel like she would really love your vibe, especially because you have a song about like a lesbian vampire who hasn't gotten laid in like 200 years. And I
yeah,
feel like, not knowing her personally, but I feel like she would enjoy that.
I'll, I'll I'll play it for her backstage. I'll be like, hey,
I'm sure she'll love that.
here it is. My dreams for the future, my hopes for the future. What a beautiful question. My hopes for the future, for my work. I want to do an album, probably why I'm trying to pressure Sarah to do one. And I I have, so many musicals in my pipeline now. They take so long. So,
Yeah.
they take a long time. So,
Yeah.
um, but I've been really, really loving doing my one woman shows. I did one at Joe's Pub over the summer,
Hmm.
and I have one coming up at the World Trade Center next Friday.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's just very freeing to me. I love that I can just talk about whatever I'm dealing with and just sing. And it's a little less meticulous and a little bit more irreverent.
Yeah.
And it's super fun for me. And I love making those. And I am also looking at like long term being able to merge like heart coherence, brain coherence, and performance broadly
Hmm.
into what I would say is like generally the territory of healing concerts.
Hmm.
But more on that
Oh
in
my
the
God, I'm
future.
telling you, like you and I'm just like I'm like in my head, I'm manifesting it for you. And I only say that because my very dear friend who was a part of the Cerebralis Hunger Games went to some like weekend yoga retreat thing and or like like, I don't want to say like manifestation, but one of those like I can't think of the word of it.
Law of attraction.
Yeah, not yeah, it's one of those like retreats where you like write and you learn and
Oh, okay, okay.
all those things and you meditate, all that. And Sarah Bareilles was like one of the like I guess speakers.
Participants. Oh, okay.
Yeah, was like one of the speakers or keynote people. So I feel like you and her feel like
We're on
there's
the same wavelength.
something- yeah, I feel it.
Lit.
Yeah, we're just gonna
Lit.
manifest it for you.
Great. Thank you.
And when I see you at Amplify, I'm just gonna go like that to you, and you're gonna be like, I know, I got it.
Yeah.
She's right over there.
Hell yeah.
Made my move. I'm always curious about this because as a theater nerd, I have my list of things and I love knowing other people's top theater going experiences.
Oh my God.
What
Okay.
are yours? Do you have any? It
Oh
could be
God.
anything.
Um, so I am literally a hermit who lives in the woods most of the year,
Amazing.
3,000 miles away from Broadway. So I
Perfect.
do not, I,
Listen,
I'm
I've
not
had
the
people
theater
on
goer.
here who are like, "Oh yeah, I saw this show when I was a kid in Texas." I'm like, you, it's whatever you want.
Um, I know I'm trying to think. Um, oh, like, so I remember I like paid to see the last week of Beautiful
Mm-hmm.
that Jesse Mueller was on,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was really exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, I remember seeing Hair, the revival of Hair with Gavin Creel, Sasha
Mm-hmm.
Allen,
And
and
you worked on hair at some point, right? Or you had
I
something
did. So I
the
didn't work
like the
on Hair.
anniversary concert
There
at
was a
yeah.
50th anniversary for Hair concert at the Public Theater,
Hmm.
and they did this really cool party where they used all three theaters on the first floor,
Hmm.
and the audience rotated.
Oh wow.
And then they came out into the lobby, and like there was like a concert, and Gavin Creel was on the balcony like singing. And so the Loophole was one of the shows at that party in one of the theaters, and so we were commissioned, which I thought was just, such an honor. Like I think the commission was like commissioned in the revolutionary spirit of Hair. I was like, put it on my tombstone. Like I'm down.
Amazing. So we have Beautiful, we have the revival of Hair, which I agree with. Hair was just and there's this like one guitar riff in like one of the last songs, and I can't do it, but when I hear it, it's such a good earworm to me.
That soundtrack is so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely like really got into musical theater
Mhm.
when I was in high school, and the shows that were big then were Wicked, Spring Awakening. Like that was something we were insane about.
It
Like
just really like upsets me that you're like, I was in high school with Spring Awakening, and I was like, college. Ugh, it's okay.
just like a
Okay.
few years.
It's okay. I know
You're
my
good, girl. You're good.
no, it's good. I watched the documentary when it came out on Max, and I cried so much during that documentary.
Which documentary?
So they did a documentary for Max or HBO Max. It was about the reunion concert that they did
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
at oh my God, which theater? I think it was the Imperial they did it.
The 20th anniversary, right?
No, girl, I think it was like 10 or 15.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah, and it was like all of the original cast and like tickets were ridiculously expensive, as we know.
Wait,
Um,
are we talking about Wicked or are we talking about Spring
oh no,
Awakening?
no, we're talking about Spring Awakening.
Okay, 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 okay. Totally.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing like in my head that time when Kristen Chenoweth and Idina sang and it was some year marker
Oh
of
yeah, that
Wicked.
was something
But yes,
different.
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. The Spring Awakening one with Lea Michele.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they made a documentary of that and I watched it for the first time and I just cried. It was so nostalgic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't listened to that in a long time. I also love I never saw it, but I love the soundtrack
Mhm.
to American Idiot, the musical.
I
Um,
you know what's so funny to me? Like this is what like annoys me about people sometimes is that sometimes people can be very closed-minded when it comes to casting. And I remember the merch company I worked for at the time. I have a long history of doing merch at shows. One of the shows they had was American Idiot. So I worked there maybe like two or three times. And I remember saying to the merch manager, you know, I think a woman could actually play St. Jimmy. And they said to me, so you're saying Johnny's effeminate? I was like, no, I just think that the role of St. Jimmy could be played by a woman. They're like, well, you're saying Johnny's feminine because St. Jimmy's a part of Johnny. I was like, you're missing the point of what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter. Cut to, they had Melissa Etheridge play the part.
yeah, 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 right.
So
It's
yeah.
always later. Like
Who was what?
it's always later when
Yeah.
like that's how you know if you're like one of those people and like you have ideas and then like everybody shoots it down, but then like 5 years later they do it. Basically, you just have to get faster at acting on your ideas and being okay with everybody shitting on it because you've got like future taste,
Girl, as I light a fake, I don't even smoke, but I always do like the fake cigarette thing. I'm like, that's a story of my life.
right?
You know,
Right?
my thing is like, I'm usually always right and people don't realize it until it happens.
Until later,
Yeah.
until it's too late. So, Cassandra.
Yeah. So amplify anything else you want to like, get people the word out about Maestra music and amplify 2025. What's the hope and the message that you hope people get out of the organization as well as this benefit that this concert gala that's happening?
I think broadly that, the Broadway stage on stage has been dominated by women and female power in
Mhm.
terms of performance for quite a long time now.
Mhm.
And, this is an opportunity to see the musicians and the composers and the music directors be these underrepresented sexes and genders.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, it's just a chance to hear that music and maybe expand just the way we're used to seeing certain kinds of jobs and certain demographics in those jobs and to really just celebrate it, which I think is a really powerful form of activism, is to just celebrate and be there. So I think it's going to be a lovely night and
Yeah.
have lasting impact throughout the year on hundreds of people.
Yeah. So again, for those listening, if you are interested in going to the concert gala, the event of the evening, we should say, it is on Monday, March 31st. It's coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be at Sony Hall on 46th Street. If you are interested in tickets, go to mastramusic.org/amplify 2025. You can also follow Maestra on all of the socials. You have Instagram, Facebook. I mean, not the other one that nobody really is on anymore. But if anybody's interested in getting in touch with you and learning more about your work and what you do, where can they follow you? Where can they reach out? Aside from going to Maestra Music,
Yes, they could find me on the directory
there.
there.
Yeah.
They can go to my website. I
Mhm.
have a newsletter that that one day I will consistently do. and
Oh, you're
share when
busy right
there's
now. You got a show
events.
going on at Papermill.
I know that's why I should invite the people who have signed up on the newsletter. But I would say, social media, but I am trying to transition. I'm interested in transitioning off of social media or changing my relationship there. So I'll say my website is a great place to connect with my work and see some of my stuff, or to always just get a ticket and come out and see something.
Yeah. Before we end, anything you want to add? Problems, questions, concerns, life advice, final words. You know, you can sing if you want to. What would you like?
I would like to
Joy.
perform the entirety of And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going from Dreamgirls.
All right, go ahead.
And I am. No, can you imagine?
Listen,
Telling you.
you've played Effie. I almost said
I
Elf.
have.
Is that right?
I have not played Elfie. I have played Effie though.
You have played
Um,
Effie.
I have
Um,
been Effie White. Effie Melody White is her
hmm.
middle name.
I love when fun surprises happen on the podcast. I've had somebody sing the podcast from Les Mis. I had somebody say the C word in a British accent and they're not British. So it was like, a lot of fun surprises. That's
Uh,
what's so great about this
a
podcast.
little kooky crazy, a little kooky crazy
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my parting words are um that I think these galas are I've done a few different galas for some amazing organizations now.
Hmm.
And one of my hot tips is I think that if you are single, I think this is a good place to meet some people. People are really dressed up. There's schmoozing is like inherent in it. And, it's a cool group of people and people who are interested in, helping making the arts a better place. So
Yeah.
I say come.
Especially for women and non-binary performers as well.
Yeah. So I say come and meet cool people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so lovely chatting with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and please stay on once we're done recording. And for those listening, please make sure to check out Amplify 2025. I will also be there, so you can try and find me and say hello. And maybe Zeniba and I will like take a photo together. We'll get her to meet Sarah Bareilles somehow. I'm a great wing woman.
Okay.
Let me make it happen for you.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much and have a good one, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.